In May of this year, a member of the United States Congress held up a glass jar in a federal hearing. Inside it was brown water, not from a flood zone, not from a disaster area, from the taps of families in Morgan County, Georgia, who live next to one of the largest AI data centers on the planet. The line that traveled around the internet afterward was 10 words long. We can live without AI. We can't live without water. This week, that jar hit number one on Reddit's biggest AI communities. And most of what's being said about it is wrong, in both directions. So, in the next few minutes, you get three things, all checked against primary sources. The verified story of what happened in Georgia, the real numbers on how much water AI actually drinks, and why the two sides quote figures 1,000 times apart, and five specific questions that protect your own tap if a data center is ever proposed near your county. Stay to the end because the last question is the one almost nobody asks until it's too late. The story doesn't start in Washington. It starts at a house in Newton County, Georgia. In 2018, Meta broke ground on a $750 million data center about an hour east of Atlanta. 1,000 feet away lived Beverly and Jeff Morris, a retired couple whose house runs on well water. The New York Times told their story last summer. A few months after construction began, their dishwasher stopped working, then the ice maker, then the washing machine, then the toilet. Jeff traced it to sediment building up in their water. Within a year, the pressure had slowed to a trickle. They have spent $5,000 trying to fix it. A replacement well costs around $25,000, money they don't have. So today, they live 1,000 feet from a building full of the most advanced computers on earth. And they haul their drinking water home in jugs. Now fast forward to May 20th, 2026. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez had just visited the area. In a House oversight hearing, facing the EPA's top water official, she lifted jars of discolored water collected from homes near the site and said, quote, "This is not just inconvenience. This is a basic public health issue." She described families whose pressure keeps dropping, whose appliances keep dying, who now ship water in just to cook and bathe. And she made a striking claim that the data center development uses roughly 10% of the county's water. The EPA official, Jessica Kramer, agreed on the spot to look into it, and the agency's regional office has since contacted Georgia regulators. Though the EPA was careful with its words, gathering facts, it said, is not the same as opening a formal investigation. Here's the other side, because you deserve the whole picture. Meta commissioned an independent groundwater study after the complaints. Its position? Every gallon it used for construction and for operations came from the local water utility, not from wells. And the study concluded the site was unlikely to have affected its neighbors' water. Now, notice something. Both stories can be true at once. Construction can shake sediment loose into nearby private wells without a single gallon of groundwater ever being metered. And as of today, no court and no agency has proven what ruined the Morrises' well. That open question is the real story here, because the same collision is now heading for hundreds of other counties. So, how much water does AI actually use? This is where everyone arguing online quotes a different number. And here is the one idea that unlocks all of them. AI touches water in two places. First, at the data center, where hot chips get cooled, often by evaporating water into the sky. Second, at the power plant, because generating the electricity takes water too. Count only the first meter, and one prompt is genuinely tiny. OpenAI's own figure is about a third of a milliliter, a few drops. Count both meters, the way researchers at UC Riverside do, and a 100-word reply can cost around half a liter. A full water bottle, same prompt. Both numbers honest, different boundaries. So when one person says AI barely uses water and another says every email drinks a bottle, neither is lying. They're reading different meters. And now you can tell instantly which meter any headline is quoting. Now zoom out from your prompt to the buildings. A typical data center runs through about 300,000 gallons of water a day. The largest AI campuses, up to 5 million gallons a day. Google alone reported 10.9 billion gallons consumed in 2025, up 34% in 1 year. And the UC Riverside team projects that by 2027, global AI demand could withdraw 4 to 6.5 billion cubic meters of water a year. That is more than the entire annual water withdrawal of Denmark. 4 to 6 Denmarks, in fact. But here's the number that reframes the whole debate. Nationally, data centers are still a small slice of water use. Agriculture dwarfs them. The catch is that water isn't spent nationally, it's pumped from one aquifer in one county. A national average has never come out of anyone's kitchen tap. The Morris's well doesn't care what the average is. Why is this fight happening in Georgia first? Because Metro Atlanta has become one of the fastest growing data center markets in the world. And the same three things that attract the builders set up the collision: cheap land, generous tax breaks, and a humid climate, which favors the cheapest cooling there is: evaporative cooling, where the water leaves as vapor and never returns to the watershed. Meanwhile, thousands of rural Georgia homes sit on private wells that nobody is required to monitor and nobody is required to protect. Put a hyperscale campus beside a well community, and what happened in Newton County is exactly what you'd predict. With hundreds of new data centers proposed across the country, the odds that one lands near you are rising every quarter. Which is why the next section is the part of this video you'll actually use. Quick pause, 30 seconds. If verified, both sides reporting like this is what you want in your feed, tap follow. Real talk, 90% of you watching haven't backed this channel. If this is giving you value, on YouTube, hit join and become a member. On Facebook, hit subscribe, the supporter button. That's what keeps the lights on here. And if a paid membership isn't for you, a free YouTube subscribe still helps more than you know. Okay? Here are the 5 questions. If a data center is ever proposed near you, these 5 questions, asked out loud at the county hearing before approval, change outcomes. Question 1. Where exactly is the water coming from? Municipal supply or groundwater? Don't accept a verbal answer. The water supply agreement sits in the rezoning file and it is public record. Ask for it. Question 2. What cooling design? This is the single biggest fact nobody asks for. Evaporative cooling consumes water. It leaves as vapor. Closed loop and air cooled designs use almost none, at the cost of more electricity. The design gets locked at approval time, which makes the county hearing the one moment ordinary residents have real leverage. Question 3. Peak water draw in gallons per day in writing. And is there a cap with penalties or just a projection? Question 4. Who pays if wells go bad? Some counties now negotiate well mitigation funds, a bond that pays for testing and repairs to private wells near the site. If there's no fund, ask why not on the record. And question 5, the one almost nobody asks until it's too late. Get your baseline. Test your well water before construction starts. County extension labs do it for roughly $25 to $150. Here's why it matters. The Morris's hardest problem isn't the sediment, it's proof. Without a before, you cannot demonstrate an after totality. And every dispute collapses into their word against a groundwater study. A dated lab report from before the first bulldozer is the cheapest insurance a well owner can buy. Even if no data center is coming there, if you're on a well, a baseline test is worth it this year. Is anyone actually fixing this? Yes. And it proves the water bill is a design choice, not destiny. Since August 2024, every new Microsoft data center design uses closed loop, chip level cooling with essentially zero evaporation. The water goes in once during construction and recirculates, saving over 125 million liters per site per year. First pilots in Phoenix and Wisconsin, with the new designs coming online from late 2027. The honest trade off: closed loops and air cooling burn more electricity. So the burden shifts from the county's aquifer to the grid. That's still a trade most water stressed counties would happily take, but only the ones that knew to ask for it. Which, again, is why question 2 exists. I put everything from this video on one page. The 5 questions, word for word, ready to read at a hearing. The real numbers table. Both meters, so you can check any headline. The well baseline checklist. And the cooling design cheat sheet that tells you in one glance whether a proposal drinks the aquifer or not. Comment the word jar, one word, and my bot sends it straight to you. Free, as always. And if you're just getting started with AI itself, my step-by-step beginner guides are linked below. Look, this was never a video about AI being evil. Both things are true. AI is the most useful tool most of us have ever touched. And a retired couple in Georgia hauls water home in jugs, while nobody can prove why. The gap between those two facts is closed by exactly one thing: people who know the real numbers and ask the right questions in the right room. That's you now. Comment jar for the one page kit. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram as Hyper Automation Labs. See you in the next one.